So, Eridor, Frederica, and Roland are against.
Aye, lad.
You can't be serious, lad. Can we just like that? If you guys hide out and retain back with force. Right, I can't imagine the Holy One being unprepared for refusal. Besides, if we don't give them back, hides out until you take them. They have the power to do so. The problem is the agreement they made with my father. The Hierophant like to see it as a perfect way around it. Recklessly denying them would give them the perfect excuse to invade us too. Damn, this whole city is exactly so Matt can't see straight.
So,
I thought that, do you really think we should handle the Roselle? And we must keep confusing because that's what Hospital does, stands against injustice. No matter how strong or full maybe, we can't get a fight started. I'm begging you, no more of this nonsense.
I feel this in my gut.
Wow. The result of those who fled Hyzan and their descendants. The Holy State asks for their people to return. We had little room to argue. If refuse, we would be branded as heretics. The result of people of the Wolford domain, but if we divide the Hierophant, we'll feel safe against House End. I am at a loss. Let's check. So you think you can handle Roselle? It's like it doesn't prevent war. If the declaration any indication, it's dangerous for us to stay alone now. I understand your concern. There is no way for us to defend of Aspros alone. We will lose people's support against Roselle. Also, it might indeed be best for us to quietly bow our heads and obey.
Say,
I witnessed Highland Street in the Roselle with my own eyes. They've fled here in search of protection, and there is no way I can study that cruelty yet again. Until you go crazy and can't find another way. Apparently, there's no way, Sarah. We only need to find it. Don't you feel the same? I just made the my clear. I started its ties to Hyzan. Right now, we need the Holy State's support.
certainly.
You're right. We may not understand his true intentions yet, but this is Gustav we're up against. He cannot pick a losing battle. As there now, I've optioned a few, and if you were still without Holy State's protection. I also believe what decision we say, Sarah Noah. Please know that I do not wish to label it on you. I saw we had to try to pull at the source. Sarah, it breaks my heart to just think about it. There is no question in my mind what we should do. I absolutely refuse to handle Zelda with those monsters. How can you say such a thing, Sarah Noah? I must know why. We must obey the Hierophant for now. Once you gain enough influence the Holy State, we can change Roselle's fate. You mean to say that gaining the Holy Trust is our first priority? But God's teach our absolute. Do you think any amount of worldly power would be enough to challenge our words? If it could change things, if it take time, until then the Roselle would be forced to endure an unspeakable fate. I don't know one more thing, Sarah Noah. But we stand against our earning Hyzan's trust. Safety of our domain. With Hyzan at our backs, we wouldn't need to worry about our funds or positions. The vacancy at Satan 7, as a measure of assault, there is a greater chance of improving the results treatment. Do you really think the Jose would grant us to tell the unbeliever? To tell you the truth, some words have already reached my ears. It takes some time, but I could get the trust of the Holy One and the Saints little by little until I have enough power to help the Roselle. Indeed, the Mr. Assault would have the rights to do so, and in order to reach that position, we'd have to be in the need now. To be honest, I ain't afraid to choose, but we choose we must. Okay. I think I got this.
It is time to cast. We face it. Approach the scales of. I believe in you.
The roadhead won't be easy one, but I believe in you, my friend. I have thought long and hard on this, so I choose my faith in you. She actually went along with me. I think Arrow's gonna refuse, though. There's no other way for us forward. Apologies, lad, but my mind's made up. Yeah. So the Arrow is the only one who was not moved by, who was not swayed. It was funny because you'd think that the hearts would sway would be Frederica.
way forward is decided. We require Hyzan's protection. Painful as it is, we must surrender the Roselle to Hyzan.
Okay. I know that most people hate this route, but we need to do it at least once.
We will relinquish the Roselle and the Wolfort domain to Hyzan. So it is decided. We must act to secure Hyzan's aid, whatever the cost. Let us begin the arrangements at once.
Okay. All right. We know we're gonna have to fight the Roselle here.
Oft, the only path available to us is a treacherous one. Serenoa journeys home to convince the Roselle living in his domain that they must return to Hyzant, where their kin live in servitude. Only by doing so can he win the trust of the goddess and ensure the future of his name. A duty which has proven to be one full of unsavory compromises.
The Bloodstained Conscience.
The Wolforts have departed on their mission. Do you truly believe they will return the Roselle to us?
Of course. Young Lord Serenoa is brimming with promise which I am certain he shall fulfill.
Hyzant itself has promising youths. Perhaps it is time they relieve the old of their burdens. You need only say the word, and I shall gladly lead our nation forward.
Regardless, young men are often led astray by their scruples, especially when placed in a difficult position. I have sent him guidance, a man of some standing, though recently reduced. He will help Lord Serenoa see the righteous path.
Him? Well, I suppose if it was a surfeit of scruples you feared, you chose wisely.
I cannot help but meddle in my old age. When you have gained the experience I have, perhaps you will understand.
Oh boy. We know it's Telior.
And so the pressing question. How do we convince the Roselle to follow us?
We avoid force by all means. However long it takes, we must resolve this peacefully.
I'm glad we agree on that point.
These negotiations will be a delicate matter. Measure your every word carefully.
I know where the hall is. One castle is so very much like the other. Well, well, my old friends. It has been entirely too long.
Silvio.
Silvio, you're alive!
It takes more than a little political upheaval to fell the head of a high house. Unless, like our dear Landroy, you throw your life away in vain glory, our domain may have been taken from us. But so long as I still breathe, House Telior stands proud.
For now.
My lord, that brute by his side. They call him Piero's Bane.
Piero's Bane. I thought it was Hero's Bane.
That's Hero's Bane. I'd say a few clowns haven't fallen to me in the process. Lord Silvio hired my services.
And they've offered you safe haven as well.
Indeed. And I had been tasked by Minister Edor with helping you make the Roselle see reason. Just like old times, huh? The High House is once again working in accord.
It seems we are not entirely trusted.
We thank Minister Edor for his consideration and you for traveling so far. However, we intend to settle this matter with words, not swords.
I'm afraid it is too late for that. I tried to make the Roselle see the wisdom of the goddess's command, but can you believe their impudence? They struck out at me!
What did you do, Silvio?
He thought to take all the glory for himself, but his little encounter made him see the wisdom in sharing.
Hyzant is testing our loyalty, and the outcome will determine our survival. We must act before we are stamped out. Do not fear. With our forces combined, an entire legion of Roselle could not hope to stand against us.
My lord, it seems our already delicate situation has become even more perilous.
Perhaps so, but we mustn't abandon a moderate approach yet.
Silvio. Prick. Let's be fair though, they're pretty jerks to us, even if we side with them. Like there's nothing. What am I doing? I've seen a lot of arguments about this route, but I'm like, if you were really in this kind of situation, what? Yeah. So the simple truth is that if you're really in this kind of situation, the obvious choice would be to give them up. And I know that doesn't sound that sounds bad, but the thing is, they're in a really tight position. They don't have any backing at all. They don't have any choice but to ask Hyzant's aid here. Hyzant's terrible, but they also have a choice. And like they do magically find another way, another route, which is obviously, but we find out that makes it the overall better path than just in general. Of course it is, but that realistically speaking, how they know that they'll be able to find that kind of method in order to solve the situation, it doesn't add up. Like realistically speaking, they would have to go along with the what Hyzant demands, because otherwise they're toast. They're done. It doesn't even matter if they just leave the Roselle to the Hyzant on their own. If they don't, basically, what probably happens is that Hyzant would conquer the entire domain. So, it's a really bad situation overall, because there's no good options here. Except in this magical situation where you somehow manage to find a solution that will get Hyzant to go back to your side, which is not actually realistic in the real world. That's just the case. But either way, you know, in story-wise, you're definitely always better going the other way, but realistically speaking, this is not a scenario that's so easy to resolve.
I did not think we would return under such dark circumstances. My last memory of this place was such a happy one.
They welcomed us with open arms. Everyone was in such high spirits.
Only because it served them at the time, I'm sure. The Roselle have ever been ruled by Hyzant. It's time for them to accept the duty fate has assigned them.
If Hyzant's rule was just and fair, then they would not have fled from it. And House Wolffort would not have sheltered them 30 years ago.
That was 30 years ago. Who can House Wolffort protect now but themselves?
He's not wrong.
Only the strong can protect their freedom, their pride, their lives.
Sir Maxwell speaks the truth. In this world, the weak must serve the strong, and so now Glenbrook must serve. Even if at times we find our tasks distasteful, if the Roselle must lay the blame somewhere, it should be at the feet of the royal family.
Just so. What suffering have my people endured for my weakness?
They've come!
You are more brazen in your betrayal than I would have believed, Wolfforts.
We're here to parley, Jerome, nothing else.
You have a strange notion of parley, my lord. Usually, it is not heralded by murder.
Silvio, what did you do?
Only what needed to be done. They wouldn't have listened to anything but force. Now, Rufus, let us make them see the merit in our argument.
I always have preferred to let my weapons do the talking.
We'll die before we lay eyes on the source again.
We will protect this village with our lives.
Curses.
And Silvio makes a bad situation even worse, but he was called by Ito on purpose to do that. It looks like Silvio's not an NPC. It's only we're only aided by Rufus, not Silvio. And yeah, I mean, now all kinds of mental mock battles. You see Roselle all over the place, so it's obvious that you're going to fight the Roselle at some point. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that if you took this path, you have to fight the Roselle. Let's see. Actually, he could be useful.
I'll do my best.
I'm not gonna deploy with Frederica. So probably a dialogue, but it's good too disabled to deploy here.
Understood. Excellent. Consider it done.
Thank you for relying on this old maid.